I was reading a post in a Facebook group for parents the other day. It really stuck with me. A mom shared a story about being at a senior awards ceremony at her daughter's high school.
Yeah, such a great time. All the kids getting ready to graduate and getting recognized for all of their accomplishments and stuff.
It should have been a great time, but she listened to another set of parents tell a heartbreaking story. Their child was away at college and had a terrible accident. Because the child was over 18, the parents had to deal with everything from a distance while their child was severely injured. They did not have the right forms, they were not there in person, and the parents were left in the dark.
Wow, I bet that was terrifying, hon. Imagine being so far away and the hospital's not even giving you an update.
That is exactly what can happen when we're not prepared. People think that just because they are the parents, they have a right to know what's happening. But once that 18th birthday hits, the law sees things differently.
So today we're talking about the wall that can go up between a parent and a child's medical information once that child crosses into adulthood.
Exactly. We're talking about the HIPAA authorization form.
Welcome to Thoughtful Planning. I'm Santiago. I'm a dad, a high school teacher, and a veteran.
And hi, I'm Honey, a mom, end of life planning doula, and a business owner. We are on a mission to make planning for the what ifs in life a lot less scary.
So, we've been building our foundational document since episode 56. We've talked about the living will and the medical power of attorney so far.
And this is the episode that helps the doctors actually talk to the people you choose.
Before we get into it, we have to share our disclaimer. We're not lawyers, we're not doctors, we're not even financial advisors. This discussion is for educational purposes only.
And we're talking about Texas rules today. Laws can change and they are different in every state. If you need legal advice, please talk to an estate planning attorney.
So, here's our essential question for today. Why does a person need a HIPAA form if they already have a medical power of attorney and a living will?
I like to think of these three forms as a team. The living will is the voice, it says what your wishes are. The medical power of attorney is the hands, it gives someone the power to carry out those wishes.
Okay, we have the voice, we have the hands. Where does HIPAA come in?
Well, the HIPAA form is like the eyes. It lets doctors and nurses share medical information with the people you name. It does not give someone the power to make medical decisions, it gives permission to share information.
Okay, wait a minute. If you've already named someone as your medical agent on your medical power of attorney form, don't you already have the right to see their records?
Often, yes, once that medical power of attorney is actually in effect. But here's the real life problem. In the early moments of an emergency, a clinic or hospital may not be sure if it is in effect, or they may be nervous about getting HIPAA wrong. So they may play it safe and share nothing. That is why a HIPAA authorization is helpful. It removes that guesswork.
So the HIPAA form is like a clear permission slip for the doctors to share information.
Exactly. And here is the second reason it matters. The medical power of attorney usually matters most when someone cannot speak for themselves, but a HIPAA authorization can help in everyday situations.
Like what?
Like this, let's say your 20-year-old is awake and sitting in the ER with a broken leg. They are conscious, they can answer questions. The hospital may still refuse to talk to you unless your adult child says, yes, you can talk to my mom, or unless there is a HIPAA authorization on file.
So a HIPAA form clears a situation that the power of attorney may not cover in that exact moment.
Exactly. The medical power of attorney is for decision making when it's needed. The HIPAA form is for information sharing before, during, and after a crisis.
Okay, so what about emergencies? Can't a doctor talk to the family if someone is unconscious?
Sometimes a provider can share limited information in an emergency if they believe it helps a patient, but that is usually limited to what is needed right then. It does not automatically give ongoing access later.
So, if someone wants to have 100% clarity with their parents at any point in time, the form matters.
Right. And it doesn't have to be their parents, it could be a friend or whoever they name
Okay.
to be their agent. So, and in Texas, providers and staff, they often follow strict privacy policies. So, when someone is unsure, they often choose not to share until the paperwork is clear.
Okay. So, let's get practical. How do we actually get one of these done?
So, in Texas, there are two common paths. Option one is using the eFileTexas site that we've referenced in prior episodes. It's a guided interview that we've talked about. I actually tested it today, which is February 1st, 2026, the date of this recording. And the version I received was very broad, the form, the HIPAA form. It did not let me pick and choose what information to share. And it was basically all or nothing.
When you say broad, what does that really mean?
So this form lets the people you name see almost everything in your medical records. It includes mental health records, drug or alcohol treatment records, genetic information, and HIV information. The only thing it does not include is psychotherapy notes, which are a therapist's private notes.
Okay. So, does the form that we're talking about right now have an expiration date?
So the version I did on the eFileTexas site does not list an expiration date. It says it stays effective unless you revoke it in writing.
So, if someone revokes it, well, how does one revoke it?
So the version I received said the revocation is not effective until the provider receives it. So you would want to send your revocation letter to every provider that you've given one to.
So, anyone that has it on file. Um, could that e-file Texas form ever change in the future?
Yes, that's important. Online tools, they update all the time. So maybe in the near future, it won't be as broad.
Okay. Do we have to get this one notarized?
So for the eFileTexas HIPAA release form, the version that I did online requires a notary. So yes.
Okay. So that's option one. What's option two?
Option two is going to the Texas Attorney General website, and then you do a search for the word HIPAA. And then you scroll down and you'll look for it's called or it's labeled as HB 300 authorization to disclose health info. So once you get that form, you open it up, and this form actually will give you choices.
What kind of choices?
You can choose to share all your health information or only certain parts using checkboxes, and it requires your initials to release certain sensitive categories like mental health, substance abuse, genetic information, and HIV related information. And you can also set the time period for how long it is effective.
Okay. So this one has an expiration date. Does this one also require a notary?
Actually, this form just requires your signature and a date is all I saw on the form that's currently available. And it didn't say that it needed to be notarized. But that said, in my doula training, they always recommend signing in front of a notary when you can because it adds an extra layer of proof. That is best practice recommendation, not always a legal requirement.
That makes a lot of sense. Um, so let me make sure I have this straight. If you trust your people and want the simplest guided path, you might want to choose the eFileTexas HIPAA release. But you should always make sure to read it and be careful the version you received was because the version you received was broad and required that notarization. But if you want to choose one that gets shared and has a set limited time, use the Texas Attorney General House Bill 300 authorization form. Ooh, that's a mouthful.
Mhm. Right, that's it.
What if someone changes their mind later?
So if they use the form with an end date, once it expires, it's done. It is still smart to tell your providers so they can update their file and just remove the old form.
Yeah, I think you gotta, if you're using that one with the expiration date, you gotta keep that in mind and have a reminder set saying, hey, this is going to expire. You need to update it.
Mhm.
So, what do they want to cancel it before it expires? Or they use the Texas eFileTexas form?
So then they would revoke that in writing. And the safest way to think about it is this: it's not real in the provider system until the provider receives the update. So you'll want to send the revocation to every office that has it.
Every single one?
Exactly, yes, every single one. And be sure to follow up to make sure they actually received your letter and removed it from their system. And also, like, if you might as well update it. So if you have a new person, a new health agent that you have information for, give them the new form.
Yeah, you're probably going to want to have a new person before you take one away because if an emergency happens, you don't have that gap.
Mhm.
Okay, the form's filled out. What do we do next?
Step one, sign it the right way for the form you are using. So just read the instructions. If it requires notarization, do it with a notary. Again, we always recommend a notary. Step two, make copies and then give copies to the people you named and to your medical providers so it is in the chart. And then keep the original in a safe place and document who you gave the forms to.
Yeah, that's pretty important too. Something else is important is you said always use a blue pen when signing the original.
Right, we've said that in past episodes. It's a great practical tip because it's easier to tell an original from a copy. It's not a legal requirement, it's just a helpful tip.
And our the attorney that we had in episode 13, Stacy Edwards, she said always keep one in your glove compartment as an easy place to get to.
Yes, and if you keep the copies in your car, put them in a sealed envelope labeled emergency medical forms. That way, if you're in an accident, your car, the information is right there in your glove compartment.
Okay. So what about kids going away to college in another city or even another state?
So you'll want to make sure the providers in the college town have copies on file, the campus health center, any local doctor they might visit, and the nearest hospital. And if your child is going to school in a completely different state, then you might want to ask the school's student services office what they recommend, um, or check with an estate planning attorney in that state.
So do your homework before your kids go to college and you need it.
Always. A few hours of preparation could save a family from a complete nightmare. The voice, the hands, and the eyes, all three working together.
Well, that's a good way to think about it. So let's go back to our essential question. Why does a person need a HIPAA form if they already have a medical power of attorney and a living will?
Because the medical power of attorney gives someone the power to act when it is needed. But a HIPAA authorization helps your chosen people get information when providers would otherwise not be able to give it. The HIPAA form can work before, during, and after a crisis, and it helps stop the hospital from shutting out the people who care about you most.
So, if this episode made you realize that you're missing a piece of the puzzle, one of the three things that we talked about, um, we have links for both Texas forms in our show notes.
Right. So whether you choose the HIPAA form that's on the eFileTexas site. That one's more broad, like I said, because it doesn't have an expiration, and it pretty much is like they get access to all your information and you completely trust them. Or you use the other form on the Texas Attorney General's website. We will put the link in the show notes. I actually, for a lot of reasons, and like what I'm seeing in the Facebook group is a lot of parents are saying that the kids are, either anxious about their parents having that access, or, some parents are saying seems a bit controlling to have all that access. Um, the idea of being able to select the checkboxes of what you want them to have access to, I feel like that relieves a lot of that anxiousness, of not knowing, like, what are your parents going to be doing? Because hopefully they're not meddling, and things like that. But if you're worried about that, that's an option. And again, it doesn't have to be your parents. We've talked about this in the last episodes when choosing your medical power of attorney. Um, you know, you're looking for those particular qualities of that person. So go back to episodes. We've started this back all the way in 56, and this is episode 61. So I would refer back to all those episodes for more information.
Yeah, I think it's I mean, if I was having the conversation when one of our kids were going to college, which we didn't do because we didn't know that about this, I had
Mhm.
explained to him that this is like a fire extinguisher behind glass. We're not going to break that glass unless it's an emergency, and this small step can really make a huge difference.
Exactly. And again, if you do grant access to your parent or whichever person you grant it to, and you find that they are going into your information more than you'd like them to, that's why they have that option to revoke
Yeah,
access. So you always have that option. So I want to also say that you'll just make sure you fill out these forms, whichever one you choose, pick one, fill it out, sign it, preferably in front of a notary, and give copies to the people that need one, and document who you give them to.
yeah. So, okay. So if you find this episode helpful, share it with someone that needs to hear it. Subscribe to Thoughtful Planning on YouTube, and then follow us on your favorite podcast platform. Thank you for joining us today. This isn't an easy topic at all, but it is so very important.
Next time, we're going to talk about the durable power of attorney. We're moving from health to wealth.
And saving time, well, time is money, honey.
Remember, every chapter you write today shapes your legacy tomorrow. Thank you for joining us at Thoughtful Planning.